Yo, what's up, y'all? It's Austin here, or Luna. So I just woke up. Sorry if it sounds like I just smoked 5 cigarettes and then made this video, but this is morning me. Sorry. Anyway, today's story time is definitely a pretty damn good one that I've been waiting to tell for about a week now, week and a half. And it's pretty much a direct kind of part two to yesterday's story. Not in the sense of the story time, but in the sense that it happens literally the second day after that last story time. So yeah, I mean, let's just jump right into this. Today's story time all takes place one day after the last story time. Now, if you haven't seen that first story time, I will link that in the description. I will put that down there so you can watch that first. I mean, you don't have to. The stories are two completely different stories, but it's kind of cool to hear them back to back, in my opinion. Anyway, yeah, so today's story time all starts off as a normal day. I was in an Airbnb. It was the morning after I saw my friend's car got robbed, and after we got chased by some random guy in an SUV, probably the car thief. And yeah, to be honest, I was just kind of regenerating, recharging. I just kind of needed a break from all the bullshit, and I was kind of paranoid to go home because of what happened. So I got an Airbnb, and I was just sitting in an Airbnb by myself the next morning and just trying to sleep some more, right? Now, one of my friends hits me up on this morning. He texts me, not the same friend from the last story time, different friend. Let's just call this friend Wilson, okay? Wilson hits me up, and I was like, yo, what's up, man? He's like, what are you doing today? I was like, honestly, man, I'm just chilling. I had a really bad day yesterday. I could tell you about it if you want to come over. He's like, yeah, man, let's hang out. Now, Wilson was a dealer. He sold weed, okay? He wasn't like some crazy drug dealer that sold a bunch of stuff. He just sold weed. And Wilson, because he was selling weed and was a dealer, sometimes he'd get into situations that weren't fun, you know? Sometimes he'd have to deal with like rude clients and people being assholes and stuff like that. Little did I know, Wilson was about to bring that problem to my front fucking door. So like an hour after I talked to Wilson, Wilson pulls up to my Airbnb. He walks in the house, and the first thing he says to me is, all right, man, tell me all about last night. I was like, all right, man, sit down. It's a long one. And I told him the entire story time that I told you guys yesterday about the guy chasing us and about the guy robbing my friend's car and all this crazy shit. And he's like, dude, that is fucking crazy. Like, are you okay? I was like, yeah, man, I'm fine. It was just scary. That's why I'm at this Airbnb, like trying to recharge and like not go home right away because I'm like worried that guy's gonna like find my house or something. And he's like, dude, I don't blame you. Like, that's crazy. I'd be super paranoid. I'm like, yeah, man. He's like, anyway, you want to smoke? And I was like, you know what, dude? With my day yesterday, I'll smoke with you. Why not? So I smoked with my friend. I had a joint with him, and I was just chilling in the living room watching a movie after that, and he was sitting there on the couch on his phone. And about 20 minutes into watching this movie, Wilson stands up, and he's like, hold on, I'll be right back. And he goes up to my front door at this Airbnb, opens it up, and walks outside for a second. And I look out the window, and I can see there's a car in my driveway, and Wilson got into it. And he comes back in about 5 minutes later, and I already knew what Wilson was doing. He walked over to the couch, he sits down. I'm like, Wilson, did you just sell someone weed at my Airbnb? He's like, yeah, is that cool? I'm like, listen, man, once or twice is fine, but please don't be bringing a bunch of people over here and selling them weed. Like, it's not that I don't trust your clients, but I'm not trying to have a bunch of randoms at my house. He's like, yeah, man, I totally understand. Like, don't worry, I'm not going to bring a bunch of people over. Well, that was a lie, because 10 minutes later, another person pulled up, he sold to them, and then an hour later, 2 cars pulled up. Now, I was a little paranoid when I saw the 2 cars, I can't lie. And I was like, yo, Wilson, who the fuck are they? He's like, oh, they're just some homies of mine. I'm like, dude, I told you I don't want a bunch of people at my house. He's like, don't worry, bro, like they're homies. And Wilson goes outside, and he doesn't come back in right away. Usually he goes outside for like a couple minutes, maybe 5 minutes, and he comes right back. He's out there for like a good 15, 20 minutes. And I'm like, okay, maybe he's catching up with them, maybe he's smoking with them. Who knows, right? And then I hear a bunch of car doors slam. Like a bunch, like probably 3 or 4 car doors slamming, meaning a lot of people just got out of the car. And I hear footsteps coming up to my front door. And my front door swings open because it was unlocked. And there are 5 dudes who I've never seen before running into my house all at the same time, yelling the same thing. Put your fucking hands up. And I'm like, oh my fucking fuck. Like, what is going on right now? So, of course, I put my hands up because I'm not trying to get hurt. And these random guys run up to me. And the main dude who was like running the whole fucking show was like, hey man, empty your pockets. I'm like, all right. So I emptied my left pocket. It was like my phone and a receipt from a store. And then my right pocket, which was my wallet. And that was it. I'm like, all right, that's it. He goes, all right, now empty your jacket. I was wearing this jacket. I was like, there's nothing in there. He's like, bullshit, empty it. I'm like, all right, man. So I pull open the pockets. There's nothing in there. I show him. And he's like, all right, bet. Anyone else in the house? I was like, no. And he's like, all right, cool. We'll see. So everyone starts running through my house, like 5 people, pretty much just robbing the shit out of me. That's literally what was happening. I knew it was happening the minute I saw them run in because my friend's a fucking drug dealer, and sometimes people rob drug dealers. It happens. So I'm like, great, I'm getting robbed right now at my Airbnb because some dude that doesn't like my friend and him being a dealer is trying to make some money off us. So anyway, they go through my whole fucking house, and because it's an Airbnb, there's really nothing in there that's like mine. It's a bunch of shit that really doesn't have a ton of value. The only thing that really had value in the whole place was the big TV in the living room, which they took. That was the last thing they took before running out of the house. And one of the guys ran up to me before they all left and goes, if you say anything about us or what we look like, you're dead. And they ran out of the house together. So this actually all went very fast. From the minute they ran in the door, from the minute they left, it was probably about 5 minutes in total. They were in and out of there pretty quick. And the only thing they ended up getting away with was 2 TVs. And right after they robbed the house and they ran outside back to their cars, my friend came walking in. And guess what? He was missing his sweatshirt. He was wearing like a fucking $400 Supreme sweatshirt. That was gone. And he was missing his bracelets. He had like jewelry on. Those were gone. And I was like, hey man, what the fuck? Are you okay? He's like, dude, I'm so sorry. I never meant to get you caught up in this shit. Like, I don't want you ever involved in my drama. Like, this was my bad. I was like, dude, what happened? Like, why were they after you? Why'd they rob you? What's going on? He's like, all right, listen, man, here's what happened. They wanted to buy a bunch of weed, like a bunch, and they didn't want to pay for it. So when I got in the car, they asked me if I could front it to him, like give it to him for free. And I said no. And then the dude in the driver's seat said he's not going to ask again. And that's basically when they told me to take off all my jewelry and my hoodie. And then they asked me for the keys to my car so they could take the weed. I was like, oh, fuck. So that's what happened. They basically jumped out the car after robbing my friend, robbed his car for the weed, and then ran into my Airbnb and figured they'd kind of get some more out of it while they could and rob my house as well. So after this, my friend just keeps apologizing. He's like, yo, bro, like, I'm so sorry. I'm so fucking sorry. And I was like, dude, it's not your fault. Well, it kind of is. But, you know, I know you didn't mean for this to happen. Just please, like, don't do this shit at my house ever again. He's like, don't worry, bro. I got you. He's like, all right, man. Well, I got to go home and figure out how I'm going to get these motherfuckers back. I was like, what do you mean get them back? He's like, oh, this isn't over. I'm not fucking letting them get away with this. No one fucks me over and gets away with it. I was like, Wilson, homie, I don't want to see you die, bro. Can you please just, like, be careful? He's like, all right, man, I will. But I'm not letting them get away with this shit. And I was like, okay, man. I'm just saying, my friend said the same thing yesterday, and we got chased by a car, and I don't know what would have happened if they caught us. So, like, just be careful. He's like, oh, don't worry, bro. And he leaves. You want to know what Wilson did? He hopped in his car, drove off, and 2 hours later called me. And he's like, you want to see something crazy? I was like, okay. And he sends me a video. He sent it to me on Snapchat. And it's a Snapchat of him running up to the dude's house, the main guy, the one that was like driving the car that robbed him. And he pulls up to his house, walks up to his window, and throws a fucking brick through it. And in the video, the alarm went off and shit, and then he runs away. And I hit him up right after he sent me the video, and I was like, yo, what did you do? He's like, that was it, man. Just wanted to throw a rock through his window. That's all I could do. I'm like, dude, be fucking careful, man. You're gonna get yourself hurt. And here we are a week later, and I haven't really heard much about the situation from him. My friend's okay. Wilson's good. You know, he hasn't, gotten beaten up or anything since doing that. But I just thought this was one of the craziest things ever because literally 2 days in a row, I had back-to-back crazy-ass experiences. The first one being my friend's car getting robbed, me like walking out to that, getting chased in a car from behind, and then the next day, me getting robbed with my friend. Like, I just think that's insane. It doesn't even end there, though. I had to hit up my Airbnb owner and be like, hey, the house got robbed? And he was like, what? And I was like, yeah, a bunch of dudes ran in and stole 2 TVs, and I had to sit there and kind of let it happen because I was outnumbered. And he called the cops up and like filed a report, and I gave a description of the dudes. I gave as much info as I could. I even asked Wilson for some extra details about these people, and he couldn't really give me a whole lot considering he didn't know most of them. He only knew one of the guys. But yeah, we told them as much as we could without getting Wilson in trouble, and that was pretty much that. The Airbnb owner luckily believed me. That's good. He didn't think that I stole from him, and I didn't have to pay out of pocket for that, which was nice. And after this, I went home and proceeded with my life. And something else happened a few days later, but that's for another story time. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below, and subscribe if you're new. I'll see you all later. Peace.
I was, so they leave me out for the dead.